So I'm really excited for our next speaker here. LaJune McMillian is a new media artist, maker, and creative technologist living in New York. So excited to welcome LaJune to the stage. This is starting to feel a little bit like being at the Apollo, but in any case, super stoked and really excited to meet you. This is our first time crossing paths. Oddly enough, I feel like we've been separated by 1 degree, and this is our first time sharing a space together.
Yay, and I'm so excited to meet you too.
Awesome.
Yes, my name is LaJune McMillian, and I am on the unceded lands of the Nacochunk and the Piscataway. And I am a dark-skinned, brown, black person, and I am wearing a black sweatshirt, and I have on a long lace front wig with the side part, and I also have on headphones and glasses with a metal bridge. And yeah, I'm in an apartment with some art on the walls in the background. And I am super excited to be here and sort of talk about my work and my process. And so I'm going to share my screen right now. Oops. Awesome. So yeah, I've been working in the new media field now for around 7 years. And this is actually just a few panels of work that I've worked on across many different mediums, including installation art, live performances, using motion capture technology, and sort of blended projection mapped wall experiences, as well as extended reality and virtual reality experiences. And so as I started doing this work, I was really interested in what it means to have connections to digital media and also to different various technologies. But once I left the school that I was attending, where I started all of this work at, I realized that my access to a lot of these different technologies was drastically limited. And so I say that to say that in the past few years, access to motion capture data, 3D character-based models, and software to make animation yourself has skyrocketed. From Make Human to Mixamo to Carnegie Mellon's motion capture database, the ability to make and finish polished projects has become easier for many. And while these resources are extremely helpful to create a range of projects, they lack tools to create diverse characters and movements unexplored by systems that center assumptions of neutrality. So 2 years ago, I began to explore this this new I guess like experience of my work, which could be I guess experienced by developing and creating space for developing maybe new technologies and new spaces for new tools to be developed that could explore diversity. And so I started my residency at Eyebeam, and I started creating the Black Movement Project, which I now have changed the name to the Black Movement Library. And it started as an online database of Black motion capture data and Black character-based models. However, I realized really early on that my thinking process behind what it means to record data from Black folks, whether it be data about our bodies and how they move, that if I was going to do something like this, I needed to make sure that I was doing it with a large amount of care. And that I also was paying homage to all of the other types of data that our bodies carry that aren't necessarily quote unquote captured by different various technologies. So what does it mean to build a library space that could talk about that and reason with that? And yeah, so just to talk briefly on like different motion capture databases that currently exist. When you're looking for culturally specific movements, you may find some, but you're often met with dances and movements that don't reflect the search terms. And also, in the name of making it easy to use, these tools often omit valuable information from the users, including information about the motion capture actor who provided the movements and important historical and cultural information about the movements performed. So basically, to explain that a little bit further, there are motion capture databases that are available online. However, when you actually like download them, you don't necessarily, you're not provided with any metadata or any data about the actual people who, or even where like those movements came from. And I found that to be extremely problematic, especially for a space like this, because I really want to make sure that I am drawing connections to the important history and resources available. And on the flip side, there are various different character creation softwares. And this is a picture of FaceGen, a GIF of FaceGen, where I have uploaded pictures of my face. And essentially, it's a really great program for generating character-based models for if you while like uploading pictures of yourself. However, within a sort of like character software here, you can look, if you look to the right panel, you see that there are a lot of different problematic sliders that become available to us, basically diluting various different regions of the different ways that people look down to sliders. So it has a slider for African, looking more quote unquote African, looking more East Asian, more South Asian, and more European. And it really brings out questions of, okay, like why did they choose like these specific features to be paired with this slider? But it also shows us a lot about how the software developers feel about gender. So whenever the character becomes darker in skin tone, their motion capture, their character features become more masculine, more quote unquote masculine, or more feminine. And so with that said, I began asking a lot of different questions about exploitation, erasure, and dilution of our culture and our peoples, and what cultural reparations may look like. And yeah, Black movement does not only represent our individual experiences, but it represents our collective memory, transcending space, time, and oppressive social structures. It allows us to connect to each other, our ancestors, our deepest selves, and it gives us space to communicate to our future. Black movement is a technology holding the stories of our existence across the diaspora. So basically, I've been trying to redefine, or actually not even redefine, but really discover and explore what it means to develop my own and my own embodied technologies, and see like how that sort of is reflected in a lot of these different like various digital landscapes and environments. And yeah, it's really time for digital spaces and landscapes and all spaces to reflect our humanity. So more questions, but I'll keep going. And yeah, in Black performance theory, Dr. Nadine George Graves defined diasporic spidering as the multi-directional process by which people of the African descent define their lives. It's the lifelong ontological gathering of information by going out into the world and coming back to the self. And so I wanted to use this process of diasporic spidering for the library space. And I decided to transform it into a library that seeks to grow community through performances, extended reality experiences, workshops, conversations, and tool making. And for this first experience, I worked with two different performance artists, Ronaldo Maurice and Nala Duma. And essentially, I worked with them over the series of like 4 months, learning about their movement practices and journeys. And essentially, we embedded those interviews into soundscapes that they then performed to. And basically, audience members came into a live archival process, sort of just like showing how basically when you record, I guess, like motion capture data, it doesn't necessarily need to be this like one-time thing where people are just like in a motion capture studio, but it can become also a performative event too. And so I also created different visuals using Unreal Engine. And then the last project that I wanted to talk about is Antidote, which I actually created over quarantine, over this pandemic with a really amazing choreographer, Marguerite Hemmings. And Antidote is an offering in a prayer, an interruption, a hacking, a portal, a medicine, a ritual response and physical undoing of the lie that we are not our own and that we are not free. And basically, over the course of 2 months, Marguerite and I wore motion capture suits and basically created spaces for each other over Zoom by doing various different rituals, but also movement work. And for the last thing, I just wanted to show just a really brief like video because we also were able to collaborate with Rina Nakwe, who's an amazing multimedia artist who did all of the sounds work. But we also worked with Salome Asega and Amber Starks, who crafted a really beautiful ad acknowledgement. So I just wanted to end with that. Cool. And this is the part. Yeah, and I'll just pause it there. And I'll come back to just saying that I was also really excited to work with the Volumetric Performance Toolbox crew, and I did a version of a workshop that I've been developing that I started with Eyebeam called Understanding, Transforming, and Preserving Movement in Digital Spaces. And yeah, we were diving into a lot of these different frameworks that Marguerite and I have been developing over Zoom. And basically we were working with all of these various prompts about who we are and what it means to really give our movements definitions as well as names. And what is that process and how do we sort of go through that archival process today? So yeah, I was really excited to be in community with them and to learn more about their projects too. So yeah, I think I'll stop there. Thank you so much.
That was amazing. That was so dope. I love that. I mean, I don't love thinking about the internet as having sharp edges. I mean, I think about it all the time, but hadn't heard it phrased that way. So thank you so much for that framework. And like your work is just really fantastic.